Here we go. I had a couple of people ask about figuring the miner, getting it able to mine, find it, and all that stuff. So I figured today we'll do that for one of them. I got my Glycol loop running. It's pretty cool. No bubbles. Man, it's a happy thing. Doesn't even look like it's moving, but it is. And I brought in 3 of the 21s and stacked them up here. I've started a couple of them already just to make sure everything's going to function, so I don't make a video that lasts 3 minutes. I ain't started this one up yet, so we're going to go through the whole process of starting it up. You remember I had the board over on the other side with the Wi-Fi relays, and I've hooked up one of them to 1 and 2, then the second one is 3 and 4 when 4 gets here, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, so I can stage them on and off depending on the availability of the sun that day. Alright, this is just my return manifold. The blue one is the supply manifold. The Glycol's running, little circulation pump. It's going through my heat exchanger down there. These 2 things are reading the return water temperature. Right now it's 104 degrees. You can feel the temperature on the lines here. 1 and 3 are running. You can feel they're nice and warm. Okay. So what we're going to do, I turn them on and off with the relay. Of course, relay 1 and 2 is already on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you what that looks like on the phone real quick. I like those little ones. You can see it's pulling 8.6 amps, 2 kilowatts, which is normal for a 3-phase unit. That's about what they pull, between 8.5 and 8 amps on 3-phase 415. Okay. Now, when we start the other one up, you can watch the amp draw go up as it comes on because it stages on. It doesn't just hammer unless you use the Vanish software, in which case it just hits and rolls. But with the Antminer stock firmware, they just ramp up little bits at a time all the way up, and you can watch them. So when we get to about 16.5, 17 amps, we'll know it's wide open. Okay, so I'm going to start by finding it. My laptop's on Wi-Fi already, so let's just turn it on. I'm just going to go ahead and plug it in. Alright, I'm going to watch the 2 little lights there, because they'll come on for a minute, then they go off, and then they come back on. I don't start looking for it until they come back on. And you can see the little Ethernet port right there. When you see the little green light blinking, orange just means you got a 100 meg connection, and the green is data. Alright, they've blinked off and came back on now. So there's 2 ways you can do this, and I'll go slow. So to try to make it, because I couldn't find any videos on this, and I just had to fumble through it. So I know it seems simple. I guess they assume if you're mining, you're just automatically an IT guy. But what you got to do is you got to log into your router at your house. Whatever your network is, it's going to be 192.168.something.something generally. And you can do, if you don't know what it is, you can go to your phone, go to settings, network and internet, and settings, and you'll scroll down. I don't know how you do it on an iPhone. I'm not an i person. You'll see my phone is 192.168.11.51. Okay, so that's how you find what yours is. The first 3 numbers are what's going to matter. 192, 168, 11. The last set of numbers is going to change depending on the device. Okay, so if you go to those first three numbers, .1, that's going to be your router. So if we go just in the address bar, not the search bar, doesn't work in the search bar. It has to be in the browser address bar. They're two different things. Okay, 192.168. Say mine already shows up. .11.1, which is my router. Okay, that's my login's already saved. Now this is going to log you into your router, not your Wi-Fi. Two different things. Wi-Fi just lets your stuff connect, but your router will have a login to the system on it. And whoever you got it from, you know, we did our own, but whoever, if you got a Comcast or whatever, they should tell you what that login information is. Okay? And then I'm gonna log in. This is just the opening page, just tells you all the general basics about your internet connection. You're going to want to go to whichever tab yours has that says LAN, L-A-N, local area network. Okay, so we're going to go there. If it goes. All right. Now this, yours will look similar. This is a list of all the addresses of everything that's on your network, including Wi-Fi stuff. Like my phone was 51. If you scroll down through here, there it is, Pixel 6a, 192.168.11.51. It shows up right there. So this lets you see everything that's on your network. So like if your neighbor was cheesing Wi-Fi, you'd know if you just go in your router. You'd be like, who's that? Okay. These are mostly just cameras and stuff. Now, Antminers, when you first turn them on, they come up as Antminer. That's it. And that's okay, because label them after that so you'll know which ones they are. And then that way, when you start up a new one, you just got to find Antminer. And as it happens to be, right there he is. Okay, it just says Antminer, it's active, and it's .88. Okay, so we just open up another browser window, type it in the same way, 192.168.11.88 is what it was, .88, and there's the sign-in screen for your Antminer. This little thing right here lives right here. Okay, and for all Antminers, it's root and root, R-O-O-T, as in a root directory. So you just type in root and root, hit enter, and there you go. Okay, now this user interface lives on that little control board inside your miner. That's what this is. It's a little chip in there that makes this little web interface for you. Okay, you notice the network status and the hash rate are red. Temperature is normal. It's because it's not doing nothing. It doesn't know anything about anything right now because it's brand new and fresh. Okay? Now, just so you know, if you run the Vanish firmware and you download their little toolkit, it scans and looks at your network. You have to tell it what your range is. So you'll have to tell it 192.168.whatever.1 through 192.168.whatever.255 or 254. Okay? And then it'll look. And you'll notice all the Antminers over here, it just lists them out. But you can look right here, the uptime on this one is 0. Okay? And we come back over here, that's .88. So Vanish will find it for you real easy. And then you can just click on the little link right there. And when you click on that, it'll automatically open up the window for you. It's pretty handy. I like the Vanish firmware. We're not running it on this miner right now, but it's also good for monitoring, you know, because you can see all of your rigs all at the same time. your power usage, your hash rate, everything. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of videos on Vanish, so, and I may not even be saying that right. It might be Nish, or I don't know. It's V-N-I-S-H. However you want to say that. Okay, now, but we're right here. Okay. It's not doing nothing right now. That's why there's no blinky green and the red light is on. It's just saying, yeah, you got to tell me something. All right, whatever pool that you signed up in to mine, because you have to mine through a pool. So you'll have to sign up through somebody. I use Brains, B-R-A-I-I-N-S. Maybe better ones, maybe worse ones. You can just search Bitcoin mining pools. There's 10 or 15 of them, and it'll tell you all what each one pays and their breakouts and how their stuff works, and just pick whichever one is best for you. And whichever one you go to, there will be some kind of tab that says workers or machines or units or something, and you click on that. Okay, and this is to connect workers. Right here is the address that your machine wants. Okay, so with Brains, you just click on copy and it'll copy it to your clipboard. And then we're going to go over here in the left and we're going to go to settings. Okay, now right here where it says mining address, name and password, the pool is what you just got from your mining pool that you're in. That's the address that it wants. So I'm just going to Control V and copy that right there. And it's usually easier to copy and paste than to type it all out, just so you don't make any mistakes. And they're all going to be similar to that. The name right there instead of Brains may change, but they all look pretty much the same, and most all of them are on port 3333. Okay? Now your miner name, you can copy that from the other side too, but it's going to be your account name with a period, and then you name it whatever you want. So my account name is, put a period. Now I can give the miner a name, and I'm going to call this one S21 Hydro, and this is number 7. Okay, and the password, like I always say, it's optional. Most people just use 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter. It's really irrelevant, but I think you have to put something there. Okay, and then you come down to this big save bar and you hit save. Now it's thinking, and it should come up with a little box up here that says okay, gives you a little thumbs up, means it understood the task. Okay, got the little okay. Now while we're here, remember I said you should name it, because this is under IP setting is where the name, and it just says host name Antminer, and that's how it's going to show up when you try to find it. So I just give it a different name, S21 Hydro 6. Okay, so, or that was 7, wasn't it? I should make that 7 or I'm going to have a problem later. And then save it, and it should be okay. And now it'll show up in your router as S21 Hydro 7. So it makes it a lot easier to find it in the future, because it's going to matter, especially when you get more than a few of them going. Now we come back over to the dashboard, which is just what's going on. And you notice now the network status is normal, meaning it has a name, it knows where it's going, and everything's working. Your Wi-Fi is working, it's going through the switch, everything's happy. Now we're going to scroll down here. This is where all the magic happens. This is the mining pool that it's in. And when this says normal, then that means you got it all right. If it says abnormal, go back, copy and paste again, and double check it. Okay. Now right now it's not doing anything, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the relay. Okay, now we've gone to 10 amps where we were at 8 and 6 before. So it's starting. It's thrown a couple extra amps at it. It's starting to figure things out. You can see it's looked at the boards. It knows there's 95 chips, knows there's 3 boards. It's looking at your water temperatures. These are your chips. As long as these are all green, everything's good. That's your inlet and outlet temperatures on the PC boards themselves, because I think there's 4 or 5 sensors on each board. And then this is your chips. Your chip temperature and your inlet temperature. Your inlet temperature is just your water temperature coming in. The chip temperature is the temperature of the actual chips on the board. Now, that being said, my understanding is 70 or so is okay. And I just say that because if I go to, like, here's an S19 that's running. Okay, here's a Watts miner that's running. If you look at the chip temperatures, you know, that one's 68, that one's 72, that one's 74, 74, 74. And those are all air-cooled ones. But it's the same chips in the machines. So I just use that as a baseline. I'm like, if the chip is 74, and I've seen them higher than that on really, really hot days. So if the chip temperature is 74 C, then I think we're probably okay if it's less than that. And again, I don't know. I'm not an expert in the mining industry. Not yet. Now you can see we're at 10.5 amps. It's starting to increase the frequency. That's how it powers up. The clock on the board starts increasing the frequency. And now you've started to get chip temperatures. Okay, right now they're at 46, 47 degrees. Now it's gone up to 11.5 amps. Okay, so it's bumped up a little more. Now the frequency went to 150. Frequency, I think, is going to top out at 690 on the 21s. Okay, and your chip temperatures will start to go up as it goes up. And you'll be able to feel the water line, and yeah, I can feel it. It's a little bit warm. It's starting to get warm. So now you just sit and watch. All right, now we're at 12.2 amps. So it's put a little more fire to it. Now the frequency is 212 from 150. Okay, and then you'll start to see the chip temperatures climb a little bit. We're at 49 now. Now we're at 243 on the temperature, on the frequency, sorry. So she's starting to come up. Now we're at 50 on the chip temperatures. 268 on the frequency. So she's slowly bringing up. Now that Vanish firmware just brings them all on wide open right off the gate, which it gets mining fast, but you know, it's if you're sitting here waiting for them to come up like you would if you have solar, where you have to start them every day. You know, it's not like these big farms where they start them once and they'll check on them in 6 months. You know, we start them on the regular. So the Vanish does save a lot of time in that aspect, if you're one of those people that likes to watch them as they start. And of course, I'm one of those people. Now we're at 13.9 amps. So we're getting close. Remember, about 16.5 will be full speed. Okay. Chip temps are up to 55. Frequencies at 350. Now 381. It's easing her up a little bit at a time. Now we're at 56, 57 on the chip temperatures, 400 on the frequency. And you don't have to go through all this stuff down here. It doesn't really matter. If you want to, you can just look at the 3 circles at the top. Okay? Miner temperature, green. Network status, green. Real-time hash rate, that's still red because it's still starting up. It's got to get up to speed and run at a certain, and then that'll go green too. Okay, we're at 14.7 amps now. Chip temperature is 59 and 60, and we're at 450 on the frequency. And you notice it starts putting a theoretical hash rate out beside each board as it ramps them up. Now we're at 475, 15.6 amps. So she's almost full power. And when she gets, she'll run a little high and then she'll level back down. We're at 500 on the frequency now. So we're getting close. Chips are at 62. 5 1/4 on the frequencies. Chips are at 63. Okay, as it puts more power to them, they get a little hotter. All right, we're at 16.38 amps on the draw, so we're pretty close to all the way fired up. Now, if you have air-cooled miners, they're single phase, and those guys pull like 15 or 20 amps. But the three-phase ones, they just pull 7 to 8 amps. We're still at 575 on the frequency and 65 on the chips. Now we're at 600 on the frequency and 68 on the chips. $17.185 amps on the draw. And that's why I like those little circuit breakers that are Wi-Fi controlled, because you can see what's going on, current draw, voltage, everything, right from your phone. It's pretty nice. 635 on the frequency, 6970 on the chips. Amp draw is still the same because we're cranked all the way up. It's just waiting for the machine to catch up. And you'll know it just went green. If you look down here, I was fixing to say it. Notice the red light went off and you just got a blinking green light now. That means we're all good. That means now it's hashing. The real-time hash rate shows up then, right there. And the real-time hash rate is actually a little higher than the theoretical. But she'll catch up. And you notice our real-time hash rate went green. This machine's doing like 375 terahash right now. It'll get on up to 400. It's just warming up. They run about 400, 401 to, I don't know, 405. And the colder you can get your water, the better they run. And the efficiency goes up as well. Now we're at 375. We're running about 70, 71 degrees on the chips. And we're at 680, give or take, on the frequency. So the highest number on the board is 71. So, and like I said, it'll overshoot a little bit when it first ramps up, and then it'll work back down and settle back out. Now, for some reason, my glycol loop and my heat exchanger doesn't work as good as just running straight creek water through them, because they all run in the low 50s, or the high 50s, low 60s. So they run about 20 degrees cooler, 20 degrees Celsius cooler than these are right now. So I'm gonna have to figure out, I think it's the same pump. The lines are better, the manifold's better. So it's gotta be the heat exchanger that I'm using. It's not exchanging as well. But I think I know what I need to do. and we'll get into a video on that soon. I ordered a couple of things. I think I'm going to try a shell and tube exchanger instead of just pumping water over a coil. I think it'll be better. Be more controllable for sure. But that's the start up and run. Now we're at 389 terahash right now. I've been trying to, I'm gonna have to take a screenshot because I've been trying to get over 3 petahash ever since I started this operation. I finally broke 3.3 petahash. So with these 3 going, the 4 going out there, we're at 3.3 petahash. So if I can get the cooling situation worked out, then I can move them all in here, put them on the automatic controls, and they'll just start and run, shut down all by themselves, and that'd be really nice instead of having to remember to shut things off and turn things on. But it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight, and we're still figuring out the details right now. And power wise, that's about all we can run and still charge the batteries. We're putting about 5 amps into each battery right now and running about 30 kilowatts worth of chargers. So we're running charger, or running all the miners and charging the batteries right now, and we've really only got one good string of panels, the one that tracks. If we had another set like that hooked up to these, we'd have twice as much power. So after I get this last bit of the loop worked out, then I guess it's going to be slam panels for the foreseeable future, so we can get them where we need to be, because we're almost at a place in here where I can start to put covers on things and start to tidy it up. So I'm looking forward to that. And sorry, give me a screenshot here. So I can brag about it later, you know, my 3.3 petahashes. It's probably not bragging rights, but you know, it's good. It's a lot better than we've been. And you're not going to get rich doing this, but I've made a whole $29.69 today so far. It's only 2 o'clock though, and now that we got these running, that number will improve pretty good. Basically, that was running 4 21s and I think 4 19 air cooled, but they're like 95 terahash a piece. 4 or 5 of them equals 1 of these. So these come out a lot better. Of course, 4 or 5 of those draw 3.5 times the power one of these does. So, because I looked into possibly just getting old air-cooled rigs and converting them to water cooling and use those. But the power efficiency does come into play at some point, you know. You gotta, you know, even with what we got, you run out of power at some point. So if you go more efficient, it still matters. But at least with solar, you can run older gear that's not efficient on paying for power and still make money. You know. But other than that, that's about it. I'm gonna let these little guys run the rest of the day, and we'll see what we do.